Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. After the last review that I did, a lot of you have been reaching out asking what other free software I use to help build my property portfolio and snap up the best deals on the market. And there's one that not many people have heard about, and that is called Lendlord. And what I'm going to be doing today is jumping into my laptop, into my screen, so you can see me go through the software, and I'm just going to give an overview of the pros and cons and give an honest feedback review. But it does help me analyze properties on the spot, often giving me an edge over the competition. Let's jump straight in. So what I've done here is I've created a dummy account on here. The properties that I've put on are actually properties that myself and my business partner Dan own, but I kind of wanted to give you an overview. I've deliberately not put in some things in here, obviously for GDPR reasons. I don't mind sharing my details, but I'll break this down. So the great thing about the deal analyzer is the fact that it actually just breaks it apart from first year metrics and long-term metrics. It's actually one of the only analyzers I've ever seen doing this, and it's free. Which is absolutely insane. And you can see from the details of how much this goes into here, where you've got the purchase details, long-term assumptions, cash investment, operating expenses, loan details, and this is absolutely insane with this. You can put in your assumptions within this, and you can change your assumptions. So if you want to say best case scenario assumptions, you put those in. So you've got set capital appreciation, your realistic assumptions, and your conservative assumptions. It gives you that accurate analysis. The reason I like this as well is, honestly, it gets you thinking about things that you never would have thought of before. And what I like doing is, if I've got my first year metrics, that's what I'm going to be making the purchase decision on and my offer based on. But I also like to remember that property investment is a long-term thing. Okay, so they're giving these long-term metrics is really important as well. Let me go across to one, because here's one I made earlier, and I've put in one of the properties. So 33 Sandringham Terrace is in LS17. This is one of the properties that we own, and I've put in the details. I'll go through in a second. But the really cool thing with this, and the thing that's important, is you can go through this on your phone as well. So when I'm in a property, or one of my guys or girls are in a property doing a viewing, I want them to be making an offer on the spot before they leave the property and putting that in writing. And the way they can do this is by putting in these details into this analyzer as they're going around and say, yes, this is what I'm able to offer. And often that speed is the difference between getting a deal and needing to do another 5 viewings. Okay, so it's so important that you download this app on your phone, not just have it on your laptop as well, because you've got all of the functionality there. So let me just show you the details of this, because this is pretty cool. So I put in the information, this address up here, okay? So this is one that I own, and I'll go back to the overview in a moment. And then it tells you everything. So ignore these numbers for now, ignore these numbers. So it gets property information, and this is from the EPC register, okay? So it's got it from the EPC register, saying that it's D, which is absolutely fine, 65 square meters, and it shows the average yield and the year-on-year growth in the area. This is actually conservatively, this is from property data that it extracts. If you remember, I did a review on property data. I think it is insane, the value. And the great thing about Lendlord is it extrapolates from property data and other sources such as the EPC register, so you've got all of the information in. And this takes here from the postcode from the average over 5 years. Okay, so 5-year, year-on-year growth, which is amazing. So here I put in the purchase price, what we bought it for, and I've put in what the refurb costs were. Obviously, you would put down the refurb cost that you think it is, and then I've put the property value. So that is the property value now after the refurbishment. When I'm going into a property, what I will do is I will put the value of the property that I think it's going to be at the end of a refurbishment, if it has it in. I'll also put in the expected rent. Closing costs I always put as 1,500, which is your broker, your legals, etc. And then it automatically works out everything else. This is where it's pretty cool. So down here, you've got your cash investment. These are your inputs. but this is where it's special at the bottom. So automatically this is put in, but you can tweak it. You can decide if you want a longer mortgage, a shorter mortgage. I've put 2.5% interest because that's where we're at right now. But what you can do is both on the loan details here and on your insurance over here, you can actually get Lendlord doing the work for you. So this is where it becomes a bit of a game changer, and it's not just an analysis piece of software. You can click that button or click that button, and then what it does is based on your information that you've put in, and it'll have your credit file once you add all of that as well, is it will go out to all of the insurance brokers that they're linked with, all of the mortgage brokers and direct to the mortgages that they're linked with, and then it will extrapolate that, pull it, and give you the best landlord insurance and the best mortgage options available. The reason that's pretty amazing is often we have to call brokers, we have to call through insurance people to get the best rates, but Lendlord does all of that for you. And I've gone through it, and the only downside to this at the moment is the limit to how many brokers and that they're connected to. But now that they've got this set up in a really powerful way and they've focused on that customer service on the front end, they're now backlogging all of that and building that up. So the thing that's cool for me about that is that whilst it's their downside today, everything is building up at a dramatic rate. So when you're coming into this right now, and by the way, I'll put a link to this below so you can check this out for free yourself, it's just getting better and better and better on a weekly and if not daily basis right now. So I think that's a massive one. Here's the thing that gets me excited because I'm a little bit of a nerd. Long-term assumptions. So people say don't wait to buy property and wait. And a lot of property investors get obsessed with getting like ridiculous below market value prices for today. But actually, property is a long-term investment. And so if you're only analysing on the first year, that's not an accurate review of the long-term return on that property. This is where it gets cool, okay? I've put the holding period as 20 years because I think that's the minimum time frame personally. I mean, my exit from property is death. I never intend to sell my property unless I get offered stupid prices for the value, but really I want to hold them for the long term. So 20 years, I've put inflation at 2%. I think it's now gone up a bit, but I don't have the accurate figures. So 2%. Annual rent appreciation 5%, which is conservative. It's usually between 3 and 8%, usually towards the 8%. And I've put the property appreciation at 5%. Just so you know, the long-term average since 1086 is 7.8 to 7.9%, but I've been conservative at 5%. Check this out. This is where it really gets cool. The first year metrics on this, you can see the net annual cash flow at 5 grand, the cash on cash return. That's the number that I'm really interested in, by the way. It's also known as the return on capital employed or the return on cash employed. Some people put ROI, which isn't strictly true, but that's a different figure. This is a return on the cash that I am getting, 11.51%. So if I know and I've put these figures in, I'm at a viewing, do you think I'm going to put in an offer on that property? Yes, of course I am. With that return compared to what I'm getting in the bank, absolutely. Also gives me my net yields, my ROI on the property, and the cap rate, which I'm not going to go into, but it's a much more professional way of valuing properties. Video for another time. Coming over to here though, this is where it's really cool. Your long-term metrics, and you can actually do a holding period breakdown on this. Over a 20-year period, I am making a 993% return. I'm going to say that again, 993% return on investment. So that initial property valued at 130 grand, because of the capital appreciation and the power of compounding, it's actually going up to almost 1000% return over that 20 period, or an initial rate of return of 19.41%. That is insane on a yearly return on my investment. And by the way, check this out. You've got holding period breakdown here. So if we click this, you can actually see it broken down over that 20 years. Because people go, how has it gone from 130, 5% a year up to there? Well, look at how quickly it compounds on this. So bear in mind, this is based on a 5% increase both here and here. And also we've got an increase compounding on the net operating income. Property value 136, 143, 150, 158. What's interesting is as you get more and more, look how much it jumps now. 257 to 270. And in the final year, it jumps almost £20,000 in value. Same as the rent. In year 20, you're netting 16,500. Whereas right now we're only netting 5,000 because this is what happens with inflation through property. And I think it's really cool to be able to automatically see that at a click of a button to see that compounding is absolutely insane. If you own your own home or a buy-to-let, by the way, once you download this, and I'll put the link below, you should check out your own property and what that's going to be worth in the next 20 years. It's insane. And again, want to remind you, download the app because this is what I'm actually going to be going through when I'm in a property and you can utilize it as soon as you're there. We've got a dashboard here. It doesn't show all of the information on here, and the reason why is because I've not put in rentals, which I'll come back to at the end of this dashboard because I think by going through it will give a lot more information. I think what I really like about this is the holistic overview of this. So once you actually sit down and start putting in the information of your portfolio as it's building up and the rentals and the agreements, it's everything in one place and it flags everything down, syncs in with your bank account, and then gives you notifications, so you're not having to proactively manage the finance side of your portfolio, and instead it tells you and notifies you. So you've got this tenant section here, which I've not put anything in, but you can see how detailed it is. Name, property, status, tenant status, rent payments, email address, phone number, mobile number, date of birth, everything you can think of. The start date, the end date, payment frequency, first payment, rolling tenancy, rent review date, rent review frequency, guarantor, you get my point. You can go through all of this. Legionnaire inspection, etc. So there's absolutely everything you could possibly want within this. And my favorite part of this is the rent review and rent review frequency. And that might seem like a really random one, but something we often forget as people building a portfolio is to review the rents. And what this means is on an annual basis, you want to be increasing between 3 and 8%, dependent on inflation, dependent on where we're at. And sometimes a lot of landlords come to us with properties that should be rented for £700, but they've rented it out to the same person for £450. And they go, oh yes, because, you know, great tenant. It's like, well, no, that's not helping anyone because at some point you need to increase that, right? But this isn't the video for that. So I'm not going to put any details on here for obvious reasons, but this also syncs with your bank account or Xero or your software. We use Xero for our accounting software, but it all syncs in so it can tell you if there's a payment due on a certain day, but it doesn't come in your bank account. It can notify you either on your Mac, laptop, computer, or on your phone. I've got the app as well, so it can send a notification through saying, hey, this person from Sandringham Terrace or whatever it is, Crescent, hasn't paid this rent. And it's really good to proactively let me know so I can chase things without having to go out of my way. The other cool thing about that is it reduces the reliance on agents and things like that. So wherever I am in the world, I get notifications almost every week, and it will tell you every week who's paid, who's not paid, and what to chase up. The other things you can do is these transaction values. Again, I've not done this, but you can track upload cycles and refurbishment works and things like that that have happened. Maybe additional, a bit of a tart up, a paint, a clean, whatever it is on your property. It all gets tracked in one place. Profit and loss, obviously a good one. Sounds really obvious as well, by the way. Let me just show you this. But it actually breaks down the net monthly income, the monthly income gross, expensive, monthly yield, which is people don't track, but they absolutely should, net monthly yield, and net monthly cash on cash. And you can go through different users on here. So you can set up, say for example, I've got my different SPVs, my special purpose vehicles. I can put all of them on here and it does all of these breakdowns. And you can see here, I won't go on them, you can go on these yourself. But you've got these reports that are produced. And I would produce these on a monthly basis to bring these in, but it's incredibly accurate and gives you the detail. And somebody said to me once that in business, that which you don't measure, you can't improve. improve. And it's the same with this in your portfolio. If you're not regularly analyzing and assessing and measuring the success of your portfolio, how do you know how it's actually comparing versus what you thought it would achieve on paper? Okay, so it's really important to put in this information. One of my favorite bits, and I'm going to deep dive around this, is the deal analyzer. So that's great, everything I've gone through building the portfolio. I'm going to link back to the finance of a portfolio in a moment and how this helps with that. But how about actively engaging and increasing the size of this portfolio? Well, in today's market especially, it's a seller's market. What that means is the vendor, the person selling the property, is in the power seat because there's so many people going for property. If something's online for 100,000, it's going for 110,000. And so you need to really come in with credibility, sincerity, and speed. And you're going to put forward your credibility as best you can. But one of the best ways is being able to make the quickest offers. So what we've got this down to is actually being able to put in the offer there and then at the viewing. We don't need to go, oh, let me go away for a couple of days, which in a real soft market, a few years back where it's a bit more of a buyer's market, you could go away for a few days, do your numbers and come back. But it's all about speed now, because what we found, especially over the last couple of years, is if you take a couple of days, the property has already sold. The other thing that I like looking at on here is the finance option. So I'll go on mortgage search here and I'll go over to one that I've already done. So this is the information that they asked for. So I've put it in as a company purchase, a remortgage actually. I've put 17 Winkover, which is one of the properties that you're in. When you do this, by the way, I've put 10 of my properties on here as a dummy, but you can see these are 10 properties that I actually own, and I've clicked on 17 Winkover, and you save it on. Makes it so much easier, and it also does background analysis on it based on your RICS, land reg, etc. Estimated value 125, all of this information. I want 80 grand from it. And then this is where it's really cool. You can actually link with mortgage broker partners. So Kensington, Lendinvest, Foundation Homes, the Mortgage Lender, Keystone, Precise, Kent Reliance. They are all the major lenders on there, and it shows the initial rates that they're putting out right now. So obviously when I'm looking at this, the long-term costs actually don't differ that much at the bottom level, but it all depends what you want to be doing, because if you look here, fees 1,700 all in. These are called proc fees, by the way, and they usually get suffered into the cost, but you can break them down step by step and then go into them. So you can proceed in there. Lendinvest has got a great deal with them where you get some cash back as well. So at the moment, as a new person, I'd be able to get £40 cash back that I can utilize on the platform or withdraw, whatever it is. But this is the really cool thing. The mortgage works up here. You've got the cost on here at 13,865. Now, my opinion is I'd always want to negotiate my fees direct. And this is pretty cool with the mortgage work, because what you can do is click on here and you can book in a call. So when you click on here, it goes straight to TMW. You can go down, book the appointment, and then go through those details. And then you let them know that you came from Lendlord, and they'll make sure that you get that cash back as well. So I think this is a really unique platform to do that. And then if I go across to my portfolio, and I'm applying this on absolutely everything, and again, I've not put through everything on here, but you can see all of the information that goes in. So this is 10, it's a £1.2 million part of the portfolio. On this, I've not put the debt portions in, but we're about 50% loan to value, 100% occupancy, which is wicked. But check this out. Property appreciation, £347,000. So the reason I really like this as an overview, if you like, is when I'm having a crap day in property, because it does happen, down valuations, problems with it, I really like coming onto this sort of thing. And then what I can see is how much on an annual basis parts of the portfolio are increasing or have increased. Now, the cool thing about property you need to remember isn't just the cash flow, it's the preservation of wealth. So just by owning these properties, your net wealth is just increasing more and more over time from doing nothing. So I just jumped onto the dashboard now just to sort of finish up. And again, I've not got the due dates or expense breakdowns in here, but once you start attaching zero, like genuinely give this a go. and put everything together on it. Spend a good couple of hours getting everything on. I think you will be amazed at what this shows you. So at the moment, I've only completed 38.8% of this, and that's because I've set it up as a dummy. But you can go down here, it shows you profit and loss analysis, monthly yields, net monthly yields, cash on cash returns, your optimization levels, potential savings. Gives you some tax insights as well on what sort of tax. So again, that's really good. And I think that's something they could add in, by the way, which I'll go through in a second. But if I sold up now, my inheritance tax bill for my kids that, as far as I know, don't exist, would be £358,000. That's going to get me thinking, right? I don't want to be paying that, or I don't want my potential kids down the line paying that. So what can I do about it? Also shows the growth. Break this down yourself, and at the top it also links in with tracking expenses, analyzing postcodes, bridging finance, so that you can get bridge to let products and things like that. So what would I improve? What would I improve? And I'll wrap up with that. Honestly, not a lot. I genuinely think for this type of platform, I think it's so unique, so the competition just isn't out there for this, and I think this has been a massive gap in the market that Lendlord have done really well to come in and do this. There's a couple of bits in there where, like, I think the explanations on the information, I'm going to go through and give them my feedback on that, where like they've got the eye, you know, for information. I feel it could be explained a little bit better. There's a couple of Americanisms in here. So you can tell even analyze, new deal, is with a Z instead of a S. And you can tell that it's maybe been set up in American English at some parts. You can tell they've changed it, so like they've got the pound sterling and bits like that. But I think if they're going to really wrap this out and put it out there to hundreds of thousands, and right now it's in the thousands for people like you, so it's a very exclusive opportunity to get this software because they are in that beta testing, if you like, or in that testing mode to alter it. That's a very small thing in the grand scheme of things. The other thing that I'd like to see, and it's not a negative of where it's at, but something I'd like to see is, number one, more and more insurers, more and more lenders coming into play, which I know they're making an active role into this, and tax insights. I think that's amazing doing this. You can alter this as you're going through. The tax bands are set up correctly, which is great, which a lot of the others that I've seen are not. But I think adding into this that maybe linking it up with accountants or people that can do wills or trusts would be a really good thing for them because they'll get referral fees, but also for us, it's all very well and good making money, but at a certain point, making another pound is actually making 50 pence because of the bloody tax, right? But actually saving a pound is saving a pound. And so you tend to make more money easier through saving through taxes. And I think that's another piece of added value that Lendlord could bring. So if you're watching this from Lendlord, I'd love it if you did that as well. Apart from that, I genuinely think this is brilliant. And I'm really excited about something else that's coming into the platform is actually them with funding partners to fund your purchases. So I'm not talking about with mortgages and refinances. I'm talking about really powerful bridging opportunities. So if you've got insane opportunities, you can only get this through Lendlord, where they can fund your purchases and then use them to refinance onto the mortgages at great rates. So definitely check it out. Hopefully that's an unbiased review, and I just want to say a massive thank you again to Lendlord. Number one, for giving me the opportunity to do this, because I'm really enjoying doing these types of reviews and getting down and dirty with the software. But if you watched this far, well done. Let me know what you thought in the comments, but I'll put the link below in the description. Make sure you're signing up to that, and then let me know what you think of it in the comments. And by the way, put what you would improve. This isn't about going, this is the best thing ever and nothing's wrong with it. People like Lendlord and myself, we want feedback to improve software like this, to make it more user-friendly. Hopefully you found that valuable as well. Make sure to smash the like button. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to the channel and you're interested in building a successful buy-to-let property portfolio, make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.